The night does not ask you who you are. The storm does not wait for your permission. It strips you. It crushes you. It whispers your name only when you learn to stand in silence. Some of you carry wounds no one saw, scars no one cared to touch, rage that never found a battlefield. And so it turned inward, burning quietly in the back of your chest. You move through the world like a shadow among ghosts, smiling when you must, nodding when they expect, hiding the steel of your thoughts beneath the softness of your silence. But beneath the numbness, beneath the exile of misunderstanding, something stirs. A wolf with frozen breath, a king buried under ash, a fire that does not scream but waits. This is not a sermon. This is the sound of your own rebirth. They will not understand why you disappear. They will not understand the silence that begins to cloak you, the distance that creeps into your eyes. They will call it weakness, or arrogance, or loneliness. But you know the truth. Men are not forged where the world applauds them. They are forged in exile. Isolation is not the grave. It is the blacksmith's fire. It is the cold chessboard where kings are carved, where crowns are hammered out of bone and silence. And yet few survive it. Because in the beginning, it feels like death. The laughter of people fades from your life. The warmth of company rots into shadows. Nights grow longer, voices grow fewer, and a strange weight begins pressing on your lungs. You wonder if the emptiness will swallow you. You wonder if you will vanish from memory. That hollow silence feels like a punishment, a curse, the hand of the universe shoving you into a corner to be forgotten. But this is the trick only wolves know. The ones who vanish are not the forgotten. They are the ones who are becoming. Look closely at those who shine too quickly. The ones always surrounded by noise, by endless companionship, by fickle approval. They are like fires on dry leaves, bright, loud, wild, but gone with the first rain. Their crowns are painted with gold that flakes at the first touch of time. But the man who sits alone, the man abandoned by attention, he is not weakened by solitude. He grows dangerous in it. Because when there are no voices to lean on, no arms to hold you, no eyes to tell you who you are forced to carve yourself in the stone of silence, slowly, brutally, in ways applause never could. That is why isolation is a crown, not given easily, not worn lightly. It presses against your skull. It tightens until it hurts. It marks you permanently. Most throw it off, running back to comfort, terrified of their own shadow. But the few who endure, they wear the invisible diadem of kingship long before their enemies even see it coming. Do you feel it already? That sting when no one checks if you're okay. That cut of realizing most people's loyalty ends when your usefulness fades. That cold betrayal when someone swore eternity, then left at the first storm. These are not accidents. These are coronations. The stripping away of illusions so you carry no extra weight into the battlefield of life. Aloneness is a teacher. The weak cannot endure. It shows you how hollow the crowd really is. In silence, you begin to hear what the applause once drowned out. Your own voice, the one you buried beneath masks, beneath fake laughter, beneath all the compromises you thought would make them love you. The wolf inside you begins to stir, slow, patient, hungry. You won't need to chase recognition when that moment arrives. You will not scream to be seen, because power never needs to scream. The world notices when something unshakable enters the room, even if it says nothing, especially when it says nothing. Here in isolation, you are taught the first law of invisible power: retreat without explanation. Let them wonder why your presence fades. Let them search for your voice in the noise and find nothing but absence. In that absence, your shadow grows heavier. The less you give, the more they imagine. The invisible always weighs more than the obvious. Exile has been the secret throne of every man history remembers. Nietzsche in the mountains, warriors in self-banishment, kings stripped of their courts who returned with iron minds too strong to chain. They all wore the same crown before their rise, the crown of isolation. Perhaps you wear it now, that dull ache in your chest, that distance, even when surrounded by people, that strange, cold clarity in your thoughts. Do not curse it. Do not rush to throw it away. The world is punishing you outwardly. Yes, but inwardly, it is shaping you. The stone is being chiseled, the metal hardened, the crown fitted. You will not remain invisible forever. The storm will one day call your silence into the open. But when that day comes, you will not need the crowd's approval. You will not need their comfort. You will already be king, long before they build you a throne to sit on. For now, embrace the graveyard quiet. Let it smother you. Let it feel endless. Because one day, when the fire rises, you will look back at this exile with gratitude, and even fear. Gratitude, because it armed you with a mind no one can break. Fear, because you will know how close you came to abandoning the crown laid upon you. So wear your isolation in silence. Wear it like steel around your heart. It is not weakness. It is not punishment. It is coronation. The misunderstood man carries a throne only the dark can see. And when he stands, the world will whisper, "Where did he come from?" The truth is, you were here all along. Hidden, unseen, crowned in silence. They told you to stand in the light, to smile, to share, to speak, to bare your soul as if it were a prize for anyone willing to look. They told you that strength is openness, that safety lives under the sun where everyone sees you. But a wolf knows better. The wolf does not beg for daylight. He does not expose his hunt for applause. The wolf drinks from darkness, and in that darkness, he sharpens sight no man in the open will ever have. This is your nature, though they've tried to crush it. You were not made for constant exposure. The crowd that demands your truth only seeks to weaken it. They want every weapon you carry laid plainly on the table, until you have nothing left but a dull smile and an empty core. But wolves hide their fangs. They bury their hunger. They move without sound, without obvious intent. Only in silence do they prepare for the strike. You feel it when you walk through the world. This pull toward invisibility, this instinct to watch instead of speak. Others talk to fill air, to soothe the fear of being overlooked. But your silence grows heavier than their chatter, because hidden strength bends rooms more than visible weakness ever could. The predator does not announce himself. He studies. He listens. He weighs every shadow. His patience terrifies because it cannot be read, and patience is the truest language of power. Most men cannot bear it. They rush. They chase noise. They reveal their desperation. In the hunt for significance, they reveal all their flaws. But the wolf that waits, the man who waits, that is the danger that no one prepares for. Understand this: to embrace the shadows is not to be cowardly. It is to command the battlefield. Others are blind too. People flinch in darkness. Their hearts panic when their eyes cannot guide them. But for you, the dark is sanctuary. You see clearer in it than they ever could in daylight. That is why wolves rise when the sun sinks. That is why you cannot thrive in the false brightness of constant exposure. You are designed for the game no one else dares to play. Think about the last time you stayed quiet while everyone else confessed. Something strange happened, didn't it? They mistook your silence for ignorance. But within minutes they revealed everything. Weakness, insecurity, fear. Silence is not emptiness. It is the mirror that crashes into their secrets. The less you reveal, the more the world strips itself bare in front of you. Darkness is the greatest interrogator if you have the strength to sit inside it. This is the hunger building in you now. Not loud, not desperate, but quiet, coiled, patient. And with each day, it grows stronger. This is where identity transforms. In hiding your steps, you force the world to guess. In concealing your intent, you force it into paranoia. The enemy burns faster when it cannot see the shape of the knife. Overexposed men are prey. Veiled men are predators. Some part of you already knows this. Look back on the times when you spoke too soon, revealed too much, trusted too easily. It ended the same way: regret, betrayal, manipulation. You handed them your map, and they used it to burn your kingdom. But every time you pulled back, every time you folded deeper into silence, the outcome shifted. They forgot how to read you. They began to underestimate. The moment they stopped grasping who you were, you became dangerous. What is more terrifying, The enemy you see, or the one you cannot? The wolf knows the answer. His bite begins in dread long before his teeth touch flesh. It begins in the uncertainty of shadows, in the sound of nothing where sound should be. And so your silence becomes a weapon sharper than any shouted threat. If you accept this truth, you will stop begging for understanding. You will stop offering pieces of yourself to be approved. You will instead grow comfortable in being unseen, in being doubted, in being forgotten by the light. Because only then do you become untouchable. If they cannot measure you, they cannot predict you. If they cannot predict you, they cannot stop you. The wolf does not drink from the same streams as the herd. He finds water in darkness. He feeds where others fear to wander. He keeps his distance not out of mistrust, but out of instinct. For him, invisibility is advantage. His disappearance is not weakness. It is war. You must learn to bend yourself the same way. Keep your hunger secret. Let them misjudge your quiet nature as hesitation, as shyness, as irrelevance. Say less. Leave gaps. Sow uncertainty, and let them destroy themselves under the weight of their own assumptions. Their need for clarity is their own weakness. Your willingness to deny it is your strength. And when the strike comes, it will not be expected. It will not be prepared for. It will arrive like a cold flame out of nowhere, swift and merciless. The prey will ask, "How did I not see it?" The answer is simple: because you moved in darkness, and darkness is a crown for those willing to wear it. So when the world tells you to step into the light, smile but stay where you are. Do not give them the satisfaction. Nothing grows more lethal than the calm, unseen man who hides his fire under midnight skies. The wolf does not chase recognition because recognition brings weakness. He drinks from night, and in that night he becomes untouchable. Because light makes you predictable, but shadows make you immortal. Numbness, that dull ache in your chest, that feels like nothing and everything, all at once. It creeps in quietly after the betrayals, after the losses, after your fire has burned too hot for too long. You wake up, and the world feels gray. You stand among people and the words feel hollow. You try to feel and nothing answers. And so you wonder, have I died inside? But numbness is not death. It is transformation disguised as emptiness. It is the winter of the soul, the season where everything appears barren, stripped, lifeless. On the surface, it looks like decay. But underneath, roots are hardening, soil is shifting, and the foundation of something unbreakable is growing in silence. That is what numbness truly is, the cruel, slow teacher. Most men run from it. They throw themselves into noise, into pleasures, into constant distractions, anything to silence the abyss inside their chest. They cannot endure stillness, because stillness forces them to stare into the wounds they cannot hide. And so they drown themselves in escapes. They sleepwalk through their own lives, forever stuck in shallow cycles, forever pulling away when the dark begins to whisper. But if you dare to sit with it, if you dare to let numbness strip you raw, you begin to understand its purpose. It is not here to break you, it is here to unmake you, to burn away the illusions, to cut away what was false. Numbness removes the noise so you can hear the echo of who you are beneath it all. That silence is the forge where your real identity waits. Think of a battlefield when the fighting ends. The smoke lingers, the ground is scorched, the air hangs heavy with nothing but stillness. That is your mind now. Broken weapons scattered across the dirt, flesh aching, hope fled. And yet this silence, this emptiness of sound, it is the only space where reconstruction can begin. You cannot rebuild the city until the ruins are cleared. You cannot grow in truth until the old self has been hollowed out. Does it hurt to feel nothing? Of course. It is not soft. It is brutal. You remember the days when your heart beat faster, when emotion pushed you forward, when everything felt alive, and now you stare at walls and feel the weight of nothing pressing down. The danger is not in feeling nothing. The danger is in mistaking it for the end. But it is not the end. It is the crucible. Every scar you carry went through this season. Every man of steel you've read about. Every lone wolf who carved his throne. All of them passed through numbness. They walked the thorned path where laughter didn't reach. where joy felt foreign, where even rage seemed to vanish. And still, they endured. And because they endured, they emerged cold, precise, untouchable. The truth is, numbness protects you in ways you don't recognize yet. If pain burned without pause, you would collapse under its fire. If every betrayal stayed raw, you would bleed out before you became anything. Numbness is the scar tissue forming. The steel layering over the wound, it is your soul choosing detachment in order to survive. Do you see it? This so-called emptiness is not weakness. It is strategy written into your blood. So when you feel hollow, do not curse it. Sit in it. Let the silence gnaw. Let it cut. Let it eat away every falsehood inside you. Because eventually you will realize something terrifying. The numbness does not destroy you. It carves enough space inside you to hold power greater than you've ever known. A cup empties before it can be filled again. A man must die inside before he can be reborn outside. This is why numbness is a thorned path. Every step cuts. Every step draws unseen blood. But it is also the only road to rebirth. The herd flees from it. They rush back into comfort. They rush into shallow happiness, into meaningless chatter, into anything that fills the silence. And so they remain chained forever. But you who can walk the thorned path without flinching, you become something else entirely. And when spring finally breaks, it does not come like softness. It comes like steel. Emotions return, but they no longer control you. Fire burns again, but now you command it. You rise not frantic, not desperate, but calm, unshaken, dangerous in your quiet. For you have carried the winter and endured the void. You know what it means to operate with nothing, and the man who can move in nothing is the man who cannot be moved by anything. Remember this: numbness is the filter of men. It destroys the ordinary, but it crowns the dangerous. When you learn to drink silence like water and bleed without screaming, you cross the boundary the crowd will never approach. This thorned path is not easy, but it is necessary, for in its endless quiet, you will finally hear the truth that no one else dares to face. Numbness is not your enemy. It is your armor. It is your winter. It is the moment the old self dies, and the new predator begins to stir beneath your skin. And when the thaw comes, the world will not recognize you. Because numbness did not weaken you. It remade you. Pain. The world tells you to avoid it, medicate it, silence it, treat it as if it were poison. But men were never forged in comfort. Iron does not sharpen on velvet. Kings are not born in laughter. Warriors are not created in peace. Pain is the fire. The cruel, merciless forge, where the weak are melted down and the strong are reforged into something untouchable. You have felt it before. The betrayal that hollowed your chest. The rejection that cracked your pride. The loss that left you staring at the ceiling in silence, wondering who you were without the thing you thought you could never lose. It burned you once, maybe more than once. And in the moment it felt like the end. Everything you thought you were collapsed into ash. But fire has never been destruction alone. Fire is transformation. Look at the steel blade. Before it gleamed, it was shapeless ore buried in the dirt. Unremarkable, soft, fragile. Only when it was thrust into flame, consumed, broken down, beaten mercilessly by the hammer, did it finally gain form. Did it finally become something worth fearing. This is what your pain is doing to you now. Every humiliation, every failure, every raw wound you carry across nights with no sleep. It is not killing you. It is reshaping you. It is smelting the weakness, boiling off the softness, forcing you into contours you could never reach in comfort. When Nietzsche said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," weak men read it like poetry. They tattoo it on their skin. But wolves understand it as law. Pain is not a choice. It is not romantic. It is blood, sweat, fire, exile. It is the brutal teacher that carves out a man's real architecture. And only those who endure it without breaking, only those who stop begging for it to end, emerge with steel in their bones. Consider your scars. Trace them in memory, not just on your skin. The words that cut you. The moments you wished the ground would swallow you. The betrayals that tore your trust apart. Each one felt like ruin. Each one felt like the final chapter. But they weren't endings. They were blueprints, cuts across stone, markings of the future edifice. Your scars are not accidents. They are the map of your throne. The world will not admit this truth because it terrifies them. They want power without pain, crowns without blood, thrones without exile. They want to dance on stages of comfort and still claim strength. But behind every real king stands the pyre. Burned bridges, burned illusions, burned versions of himself that could not endure what he now carries. And here lies the shift. You can either flinch from this fire, or you can step into it willingly. Understand what this means. To stop asking, why me? To stop searching for an exit. To instead lean closer to the heat, knowing every breath in flame is forging a sharper weapon within you. The man who resists his fire remains soft. The man who embraces his fire becomes untouchable. You think pain leaves you broken. No, pain removes what was already breakable inside you. It kills the boy. It kills the dreamer. It kills the one who thought the world owed him something. That death is not cruelty. It is mercy. It clears the field for the warlord to rise. The boy burns and the predator is born in the ash. Every time you rise from pain, something shifts in the eyes of those around you. They may not name it, but they feel it. The silence in your presence grows heavier. The weight of your stare unsettles them. Pain either destroys the spirit or it engraves it into stone. And you are being engraved. Remember this: comfort makes men forgettable. Pain makes them unforgettable. Every great man you admire wore scars deeper than flesh. Pain did not crush them. It gave them language, it gave them strategy, it gave them steel. And now it is offering the same to you. So stop hiding from fire. Let it strike, let it scar, let it collapse the small identity you once clung to. Because once the flames die down, you will find yourself harder, colder, sharper. You will find that no applause was ever needed. The crown was already in your bones. And when the world sees you again, you won't need to explain your transformation. You will carry it in the way you walk, in the way you breathe, in the silence of your stare. Those who never touched the fire will not understand. They will feel it quietly and know without words, this one has burned and survived. Pain will visit you again. Betrayal will cut again. The fire will rise again. Do not curse it. Smile at it. Meet it as an old companion. For you no longer fear it. You drink from it. You wear it. And every time it finds you, you grow beyond the man you were before. So let the fire take what it must. Fear nothing in its flames. For every scar is an etching on the blueprint of your dominion. Every wound is a signature of the crown being carved inside you. And when you finally stand on the other side of smoke and ruin, what once tried to destroy you will whisper in awe, because the fire never broke you. It crowned you. The world fears silence. Watch them squirm when a pause stretches too long. Watch their eyes dart, their hands fidget, their mouths spill words simply to escape the weight of nothing. Noise is their shield, distraction, their drug. They cannot sit in stillness, because stillness presses against every hidden wound they've tried to bury. But you are learning the opposite. That silence is not emptiness. It is territory. It is dominance without display. It is the invisible throne upon which the most dangerous men sit. For in silence you control the rhythm of those around you. The louder they get, the calmer you remain, until they are exposed. Until their words bleed into weakness. Until, without realizing it, they have crowned you. Think of a battlefield. The loudest warrior charges first, screaming, desperate to prove his courage. But the seasoned killer waits. He barely breathes. He studies every opening, every flaw. He understands the law written into the marrow of men. The one who speaks less always sees more. Silence widens your sight. Noise narrows theirs. Have you noticed this already? In arguments, in conversations, in moments of tension. The man who rushes with words loses his weapon before the battle begins. He reveals too much, exposes too quickly. But the one who withholds, His silence weighs more than any sentence. His quiet grows unbearable until the room tilts toward him. This is not magic. It is strategy. Silence is the cloak of kings. It is absence used as presence, the unseen crown that bends men without chains. In a world that confuses volume with power, the man who does not need to be heard becomes untouchable. He is listened to, even when he says nothing. You can feel it when you practice it. Hold your tongue a little longer, and their discomfort cracks into desperation. They fill the air, revealing themselves. While you remain intact, they wonder what you think. They project onto your silence, painting you with mystery, with power, with fear. And all you did was nothing. That is the throne. Silence rules while others perform. Do not mistake this for passivity. Silence is not surrender. It is ambush. The wolf hiding in the brush, watching, waiting, calculating. The snake coiled in stillness before the strike. Power is never louder than necessary. It breathes in calculation, not chaos. Crowds will demand your voice. They will provoke you to explain, to justify, to confirm their illusions. Resist. Hold your silence like steel. Let them choke in the fog of their own questions. The longer you delay, the heavier your presence becomes. What they fear the most is not your words. It is the fact that you could speak, but choose not to. Restraint terrifies, because it always suggests depth they cannot measure. This is why the throne is built from silence. Every king who truly ruled commanded not by shouting but by withholding. His word was heavy, because it was rare. A single sentence cracked the ground because he did not waste it on noise. Learn the same law. Let fewer words escape you, but shape them like blades. Speak like thunder only once the silence itself has already softened the walls. There is another truth here. Silence is more than weapon. It is protection. It conceals strategy. It hides intentions. It removes weaknesses before they can be exploited. Every word you spill is ammunition handed to an enemy. Every revealing confession is a knife left in their hand. But silence denies them entry. They will search endlessly, but the door remains locked. And when the moment arrives where you choose to speak, when the storm within you finally releases a sparse, sharpened word, the impact will crush, because it is not a voice they hear. It is a verdict. Silence made it sacred. Silence made it law. Look at history. The most feared leaders, the most enduring rulers, were not those who always filled the air. They were men of stillness. They let others expend themselves in endless chatter, burning their energy, bleeding their secrets. And then at the right moment, came the sentence that steered entire nations. You are stepping into the same throne now. Every day you resist the urge to prove yourself with noise. Every time you let silence shield you, something shifts. You begin to radiate a presence that unsettles others. They cannot name it, but they feel it. The mystery, the calm, the unreadable strength. This is what crowns you above them without you lifting a finger. Silence does not beg. Silence does not chase. Silence does not kneel. It waits, it builds, it bends every knee, not with force, but with the weight of the unseen. And men will serve power. They cannot understand more than power they can touch. So learn to sit on this throne. Learn to let silence expand, even when it burns. Learn to let it suffocate those who cannot endure it. Because the man who can rule silence can rule anything. You do not need a crown of gold. You do not need shouts of allegiance. The unseen throne is heavier, older, greater, and it is built from silence. The louder they grow, the stiller you must become. The more they reveal, the less you should show. The chaos of the crowd will crown you without realizing it. Because true kings do not shout. True kings sit in silence, until the silence itself commands the world. Exile. The word alone tastes like ash. To be cut off, to be stripped of belonging, to walk without the warmth of a tribe, without the safety of voices that once called you brother. In the beginning, it feels like death. Your chest tightens with a loneliness you cannot explain. Faces blur, days merge. You wonder if you are disappearing. And in a way, you are. But not into nothing, into something else. something harder, something sharper. For it is always exile that breaks the illusions of a man and forges the iron of his mind. The crowd was chains, though you thought it was shelter. Their approval was rope around your throat, though you mistook it for love. Exile severs those chains. It tears you away violently, and though you bleed from the separation, the blood is the baptism into your real strength. Only alone do you begin to see the world without masks. At first it burns. The silence is too heavy. You revisit memories of laughter, of promises, of warm rooms you once belonged to. But then a deeper clarity emerges. You begin to see how shallow that laughter was, how conditional those promises were. Exile does not just cut, it reveals. It is the mirror no man willingly holds, because in exile you see truth without distortion. Your so-called bonds were fragile. Your companions were temporary. That woman who swore eternity vanished in storms. Those men who claimed brotherhood retreated when your silence grew. Exile strips you of all of them. Painful, yes. Brutal, yes. But necessary. For had you not been exiled, you would have never seen behind the veil. An iron mind is born here. Stripped of people, you must learn to carry yourself. Stripped of noise, you must listen inward. Stripped of recognition, you must build a presence no one can take. The fire of pain forged your steel, but exile teaches you how to wield it. Observe those who never leave the herd. They laugh loudly, surrounded, always cushioned by comfort. But watch closely. Their thoughts are shallow, recycled endlessly in the echo chamber of belonging. They cannot step away, because alone, their minds would eat them alive. Their strength dissolves the moment the group vanishes. Now look at the man forged in exile. He has walked through nights where no hand reached for him. He has swallowed days with silence pressing like stone on his chest. He has stood against his own demons without distraction. And because he endured, he now carries within himself a fortress. Every brick of it built by solitude. Every wall of it hardened by betrayal. Every gate locked by wounds no one else can open. That is the iron mind. Not easily shaken, not easily broken, not easily deceived. Exile traded your comfort for clarity. You see through masks too quickly. You sense hostility before it strikes. You learn to calculate without needing approval. Because in exile there is no applause, only reality. And reality is the harshest teacher, but also the most loyal companion. The herd will never understand men like you. They pity your solitude. They whisper behind closed doors. He's alone. He must be broken. They cannot fathom that exile is not the breaking. Exile is the strengthening. That the outcast is often the strategist. The wanderer outside the walls always sees the gates more clearly than the prisoner inside them. Exile will also teach you the law of detachment. You cannot cling to what left you. You cannot bend yourself backward begging to return. You cannot drag corpses into your new life. Let them go. Let it burn. Everything that survived exile with you is true. Everything that fell away was always false. Your enemies cannot cage a man who has endured loneliness. What prison can threaten you after you have already survived isolation? What betrayal can destabilize you after you already buried the corpses of loyalty? What rejection can kill your spirit after you already danced with emptiness? This is why outcasts always rise differently. They may move silently, unnoticed for years, but they are watching, calculating. Their mind, shaped by exile, is sharper than any blade held in the open. When their time comes, they strike with precision born from endless nights of strategy and self-construction. The iron mind does not need validation. It does not bend easily to persuasion. It does not collapse under loneliness. It lives in clarity, and clarity is its throne. But to sit on it, you must survive exile without breaking. You must carry your hollow nights without filling them with meaningless noise. You must let the heavy silence sculpt you into someone others cannot read, cannot manipulate, cannot undo. Pain forged your steel. Exile sharpened it and placed it in your hand. So let them exile you again. Let them cast you out. You will not beg for return. The gates they shut become the walls that protect you. For the iron mind no longer fears exile. It requires it. What is loneliness to a man who has built an empire inside his own skull? Exile is the furnace where ordinary men perish, and only iron remains. And if you are hearing this, if the word alone has already carved itself into your story, then understand one truth above all. You are not broken. You are being crowned. And the crown you wear now is invisible, silent, unseen by the crowd, but heavier than gold, stronger than any chain. The crown of exile, the mind of iron. And once you wear it, you will never trade it for weakness again. Every man carries two faces, the one he shows and the one he hides. The tragedy of the weak is that they confuse them. They expose everything, believing honesty grants them strength. They walk naked into a world of predators, bleeding their truths, confessing their hunger, begging to be understood. And then they wonder why they are broken, why every secret is used against them, why every open wound draws another knife. A man of power learns differently. He learns the law of the mask. Silence gave you the throne. Now deception guards it. For the mask is survival. The mask is adaptation. It is not the rejection of truth, but the concealment of it. No weapon stays sharp if revealed too early. No strategy remains lethal if spoken before the attack. And so you learn to build a face for the crowd, while the shadow of your true form walks behind it. The mask is ordinary, unthreatening, predictable. It mirrors what the world expects to see. A harmless reflection that lowers suspicion, that lulls enemies into ignorance. People love masks. They trust them, because the mask reassures them that you are just like them. And all the while, the shadow waits, silent, full, terrifying. To build a mask is not to lie. It is to live like a chess master. You sacrifice pawns. You bait with quiet illusions. You play into expectations while your true power gathers in darkness. The fool is the man who throws his king into battle at the opening move. The strategist cloaks his weapons. He lets the world forget he possesses them until the board is already his. Have you noticed? The more predictable you appear, the more invisible your depth becomes. The mask gives them comfort. They stop looking deeper. They underestimate you. They file you away as harmless, manageable, ordinary. Good. Let them. The underestimated man is the most dangerous man alive. But hold this truth. Your shadow cannot die. It is the reservoir of your real self. It holds your hunger, your rage, your ambition, your vision. It is the raw animal that waits quietly, sharpening itself in silence. The danger lies not in having a shadow, but in revealing it too soon. Those without patience let it leak. They scream their intentions. They weaponize too early. And by the time they move, their enemy is ready. Not you. You must master the duality. Hone your mask until it is second nature. Calm, ordinary, unassuming. Let the world think they know you. Let them underestimate your strength. Speak like the sheep, but think like the wolf. Smile when needed, nod when required, and walk with harmless ease. This is the cloak. This is the camouflage. Then from that quiet, when the moment demands it, unleash the shadow in full. The strike becomes a storm, because it came with no warning. This is how wars are won without armies. This is how kings rule without being noticed, until their control is already irreversible. The shadow is the throne. The mask is the curtain concealing it. Together, both form the strategy of unseen power. Learn the rhythm. Conceal, observe, calculate, strike. Never reverse it. Never strike before the mask is secure. Never reveal before the enemy is asleep inside your illusion. Let them think they see you. Let them speak openly in front of you. Let them confess under the weight of your silence. All they are doing is giving you ammunition while you reveal nothing. What makes this terrifying is not the strike. It is the dread that follows. They search for the man behind the mask, and by then it is too late. You vanish before they can redefine you. They never know which face to fear, because the mask looks harmless, but the shadow leaves scars too deep to ignore. This duality is not weakness. It is mastery. The king cannot walk among peasants without a mask. The predator cannot hunt without camouflage. Even the gods of old concealed themselves under human skins to move in the world unseen. Masks are survival. Shadows are conquest. And so the shift begins inside you. Stop begging to be known. Stop offering transparency to those who cannot even bear their own truths. You owe no one the weight of your shadow. You owe only yourself the patience to keep it sharpened. Become comfortable in disguise. Speak in ways that reveal nothing. Act in ways that scatter suspicion. Give the world a mask it can digest, while behind it your real form sharpens in silence. Do not mistake this as hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is weakness, saying one thing, believing another, chasing the approval of both. The mask is not hypocrisy. It is supremacy. It is the resignation to reality that truth unguarded is slaughtered. Your shadow is too dangerous to hand freely to anyone. Guard it, protect it, use it like fire. And when your time comes, when the stage is set, when the enemy least expects, then, and only then, reveal the storm coiled in your shadow. Too late for them to resist. Too deep for them to prepare. The strike is not what breaks them. What breaks them is realizing that the man they thought they knew never existed. That every word, every nod, every harmless gesture was camouflage. Masks disarm. Shadows conquer. Together they crown you. Remember this. The world rewards the harmless mask, but it obeys the silent shadow. And if you are wise enough to wear both, then there is no throne you cannot claim. What is power when no one sees it? What is a crown that glimmers in no torchlight, that gleams in no hall of applause? Most men cannot imagine such a thing. Because they crave visibility, they ache for recognition. They need the eyes of others to confirm their existence, to make them feel alive. Without witnesses, they collapse into nothing. But the most dangerous power is the one that moves unseen. The most enduring crown is the one carried silently in the bones. It does not need gold. It does not need subjects kneeling. It bends the room before a word is spoken. It shifts the weight of silence so heavily that others obey without knowing why. That is the final transformation, the invisible crown. To reach this stage, you must bury the illusions entirely. You must abandon the boy's hunger to be noticed, to be approved, to be adored. All of it is weakness. The strongest men understand that to be underestimated is the deadliest advantage. They require no spotlight, no stage, no trophies. They carry authority in the quiet of their presence, and in that quiet the crown forms. Think of the river. Shallow streams make noise. They splash, they gurgle, they shout across stones, but the deepest waters move in silence. No sound, no show, but enough force to drag entire forests into the sea. Power works the same way. Shallow men need to announce themselves. Depth requires nothing. This is where you arrive after exile, after numbness, after fire, after silence. The crown you wear is no longer visible. It cannot be removed. It cannot be mocked. It cannot be stolen, because it was not given by the crowd. It was forged in darkness, hammered into your skull by pain, tempered by solitude. The invisible crown is heavier than gold, because it is not external. It is who you are. Notice how people shift around you now. They may not know your story. They may not understand your silence, but something in you unsettles them. They feel a gravity, as if you bend the very air. It is not arrogance. It is not threat. It is simply the presence of a man who has survived his own crucifixion and wears the ash as armor. Nothing more needs to be said. The invisible crown carries 3 laws. The first, you do not demand recognition. Recognition comes naturally, without request. If you must ask, you do not have it. The second, your influence is greater when hidden. Moves made in silence cannot be countered. A strike unseen cannot be defended. The third, you require no validation. You could walk alone into a room filled with kings, and your silence would still bend them. This crown is not comfortable. It bears weight. The weight of scars. The weight of restraint. The weight of exile that never leaves you. But in carrying it, you rise above the desperate. While they fight for attention, exhausting themselves in noise, you move strategically, patiently, untouched. They burn out under the lights. You endure in the shadows. And in the end, endurance always conquers. Do not misunderstand. Those addicted to applause will never see your crown. They will doubt you. They will dismiss your stillness. Let them. Their blindness only makes you stronger. The true ones, the few who carry fragments of the same burden, they will recognize you without words, as wolves recognize each other in silence across the wilderness, as kings nod to kings, without having to name the throne. It is this invisibility that protects you. Fame is a noose, recognition a weakness, applause a chain. The world that sees you too clearly will rush to control you, but stay unseen, and you remain untouchable. The invisible crown ensures you always move free, because those who wear loud crowns become targets. But no one aims for what they cannot see. This is what you have built, not just survival, but sovereignty, not just silence, but supremacy. The fire burned you, exile stripped you, silence crowned you, but the final gift is this: your power no longer requires display. You are no longer at the mercy of opinion. You are no longer chained to the approval of the blind. You move unseen, and yet all feel your presence. Understand this deeply. Visibility is temporary. Invisibility lasts forever. The names that echo centuries later belong to those who did not crave approval in their own time. They moved like shadows through their age, only for history itself to reveal their weight. Invisible crowns outlive golden ones. And so, the final transformation is simple. Though brutal, let go of the need to be seen. Walk unseen. Rule in silence. Your crown is already upon you, whether the world acknowledges it or not. And in the end, the weight of silence will bend every knee, not to the man they thought they knew, but to the presence they cannot name. So move lightly now. Move calmly. Let others boast and shout and burn out under the spotlight. You have already won. You carry in your silence everything they seek in their noise. You carry the unseen crown. The boy wanted to be noticed. The man does not care. The wolf does not beg. The king does not explain. The invisible crown does not glitter. It does not shine. It does not need to. It conquers without ever being seen.